Welcome to my world. I'm here on Ilkley Moor with a hat, and I'm up here on this particular stone for a reason. You have to wait till the end of the video to find out what that particular reason is, but let me get started. So what do I think I know? Well, one thing I think I know is that meaning and understanding should not be confused. In his plain and easy introduction, Thomas Morley wrote about the meaning of the author residing in print. Well, up to a point, Lord Copper. What's missing here is that even if we accept what Morley says, meaning is only half of the musical equation. The other is understanding. Now, to a performer at the end of the 16th century, understanding the meaning of a composer by looking at the music was relatively possible. Performers back then didn't see the term countertenor and think falsettist, as our English choral tradition would have us believe. They didn't see their first note and think that this represented a specific frequency, as our tradition of pitch standards would suggest. They didn't see the lack of a cadential sharp or the lack of words under notes as problems for which could be found a single correct solution, as our musicological tradition would have us believe. To quote Morley again, there be more ways to the wood than one. There's a path behind me here, and there's a path down there, and they both go to that wood over there. Sharp, natural, cadential chord. They didn't see an ensemble piece as necessarily needing rehearsal, and certainly not rehearsal in the modern tradition, the primary purpose of which is achieving unanimity of ensemble and interpretation. And related to that, they didn't see ensemble music as needing the kind of direction and conducting which our tradition often does. Never mind anything else. Did they actually see? Traditionally, modern musicians have a screen or a neatly printed copy, lit electrically. Renaissance performers were often sharing handwritten or poorly printed music under available light. To make music, they would have been relying much more in what was in here than what's down here. And sure enough, Anna Maria Busse has shown that of necessity, historic early musicians have a memory capacity we generally don't. Witness my need for this. As neuroscientists have shown, in terms of brain function, memory and imagination are not easily separable. And as epigeneticists show, if we don't use certain faculties, in this case what I'd like to call memoragination, chemical markers on our DNA can effectively turn them off, render them dormant. Other faculties, in this case our reliance on the literal, gradually get turned on. We change. We are not they. Tradition, I keep on repeating that word, and I want to bring it out in the open because I think tradition is something we're all susceptible to. Classical music is bedevilled by its traditions. And what was it Mahler said? Karl Dahlhaus defined early music as being music that wasn't part of an unbroken tradition. The implication of that seems to me that tradition is some kind of guarantor of fidelity. Really? I think that if we're interested in historic performance practice, tradition should put us more on the alert, not less. Yes, as early musicians, we think we're one step removed from tradition, but not so fast. Tradition is insidious and it's unseen. Because of its nature, it's rarely written about. Morley doesn't spell out that a countertenor means somebody basically using his modal voice, because that's just part of the tradition that he and his readers understand. Just as Geoffrey Bergen, writing in our own age, when he writes for countertenor, he doesn't add the caveat, this means singing in falsetto. Why? By the end of the 20th century, that was part of our tradition. Now, men singing countertenor parts in English choral music is, a virtually unbroken tradition between Morley's time and ours. In reality, that tradition is no guarantee of anything. Traditions are massive, unspoken presences. In performance practice, I think of them as the elephant in the room. It's tradition that's largely responsible for the confusion of what they meant and what we understand. And here's a salutary example of how quickly unspoken traditions can change. Elgar's 1926 recording of Enigma. For all the glorious sweep of that performance as a whole, if we listen to it in detail, we'll hear that tutti attacks are often fuzzy, portamenti come at different speeds, string bowing is individualistic, and there's little consensus on the rhythms of dotted notes and triplets. Now, what they do, portamenti for instance, is sometimes foreign to us, but that kind of thing is relatively easy to embrace. The thing that's really foreign to us, I think, is not what they do, but how they do it, how individualistic the playing is. A modern record producer would frankly be aghast. Yet how did Elgar feel about the recording when he heard it? Very happy. He annotated the piano score of the work with words such as fine, lovely, delightful, and even perfect. Not one word of censure or criticism of what he heard. And let's be honest here, if we heard a modern orchestra play Enigma with ensemble as fuzzy and individualistic as on the composer's own recording, would we consider it perfect as Elgar did? If we heard the singers of a Renaissance motet fitting in the words and adding in accidentals ad hoc, would we think of that as presentable in public? We are not they. Could we become they in terms of our taste? Well, that's not impossible. Epigenetics, of course, allows for change. But epigenetics isn't random. It's dictated by environmental factors. And until our microphones and tech devices disappear, ad hoc and ephemeral music making will always be more the preserve of amateurs than professionals. If we want our performances to resonate with the wider world of classical music, perhaps we need to accept some of our modern traditions in which precise unanimity is literally congenital. What I think we should be is honest that they are they and we are we. And whatever 16th century composers meant when they wrote a motet, how we understand it is a separate matter. Sing it with an all-male choir, solo voices, solo viols and a solo voice, four singers and a saxophone improvisation, fine, as long as we don't confuse any of our understandings with the composer's meaning. Okay, so why am I saying all this on Ilkley Moor, apart from trying to brighten Emily's day? Because here, this thing I'm sitting on is called the Badger Stone. Why? Good question. After all, someone or someones meant something when they gave currency to that name. Now, inevitably, most people walk around the Badger Stone and try to see the shape of a badger. Well, good luck with that understanding, and also good luck with understanding what a badger would have been doing on open moorland. Or try this understanding. In medieval England, a badger was a dealer in grain. So badger probably derives from bagger, and yes, this is on an ancient trade route between two dales, and tradition has it that a market was held up here. That word again, tradition. The soft inheritance we need to look into ourselves for, in the happy knowledge that we'll never be able to fully see it. And now look at these. These are cup and ring markings. They are Neolithic rock engravings that can be found throughout Europe. The basic design's common and distinctive, suggesting that the marks aren't random, that they had meaning. Meaning what, though? Fertility symbols, solar charts, navigational aids, or the traditional New Age reading that they represent visiting aliens from other galactic civilizations. Aliens on Ilkley Moor, whatever next. Those understandings have changed, are changing over time. And whilst one of them might chime with the original meaning, we have no way of knowing which. However heretical it is to say this to a gathering of early musicians, their meaning was theirs. Our understanding is ours. Meaning and understanding should not be confused.